Toronto City Police, they're providing an update on hate crime investigations in the city. Let's listen.
It has been 96 days since the events of October 7th. Toronto Police have managed an unprecedented 308 protests and demonstrations that are escalating and becoming more confrontational, creating significant public safety concerns for the public and our officers. After a review of recent week's events, demonstrations, or the congregation of people on the Avenue Road Bridge over the 401 will not be permitted. If it becomes necessary, people can expect to be arrested. As I've been saying for months now, criminal acts of hate and intimidation must have no space in our city, and the Toronto Police Service has been unwavering in our determination to restore the sense of public safety. Actions that cross the line to criminal activity, including threats, assaults, mischief, or arson, as we saw at a Jewish-owned deli in North York last week, will not be tolerated. A few moments ago, I advised the Toronto Police Service Board that a 41-year-old man was arrested and charged with public incitement of hatred at a downtown march last Sunday. Our members observed him carrying a flag of a terrorist organization listed by Public Safety Canada and arrested him. Since October, we have arrested 54 people and laid 117 charges we allege are hate motivated. It is why we are maintaining our highly visible presence and command posts, and officers are working tirelessly to keep our city safe. I want to thank our members who support our all-of-service operational response to Project Resolute. Despite the city cutting $12.6 million from the Police Services Board's approved service operating budget, our members continue to show up every day, doing incredible work during these unprecedented times, even as our resources are strained more than ever. As I've said, costs cannot be further reduced without taking unacceptable risks. Otherwise, the service will have no prospect of delivering adequate and effective policing services as required in legislation. I'll now open it up to questions for Superintendent Catherine Stevenson and I from the Intelligence Unit.
Chief, despite all of the changes that you just announced, despite the increased presence of Toronto Police, Jewish people in the city say they don't feel safe. They're afraid to send their kids to school. They don't want to go to synagogues. What do you tell them directly about how any of this is going to change that?
I'll tell them that we remain committed in a whole-of-service response. We have specifically changed the resources available to our area commander. I will tell you that I've directed that the public safety response team be move under the operational control of the area commander, which provides the area commander with a sustained operational team with unique skill sets to assist us in a more robust response to address those very concerns that our communities have made very clear to us.
Chief, there have been several weekend closures of this major intersection in the Jewish community. What was the tipping point here? Why have you decided to ban these protests now?
Well, it's a constellation of factors that we take under consideration. Listen, we do everything we can as a police service in all our encounters to be as least intrusive as we need to be to affect the purpose of public and community safety. In considering all the factors that have transpired over the recent weeks, it is quite clear that our communities feel unsafe, as has just been noted, particularly our Jewish communities in the immediate vicinity of the Avenue Road Bridge. There's a number of considerations as to the way events are unfolding in the past weeks that give rise to a very serious concern for community safety and well-being related to that particular overpass. This is an overpass over the busiest highway in Canada, indeed North America. As I understand it, it's a piece of critical infrastructure, and this particular overpass, we are very concerned about our ability to deliver community safety and well-being in the immediate actions that transpire on the bridge. And I have an obligation, and officers have an obligation to keep the peace and keep things safe. The Highway Traffic Act affords us certain powers, which we're going to utilize as appropriate. I will additionally add that I made clear in my remarks, we are very concerned about the levels of criminal intimidation and mischief that give rise to an additional need to consider preventing offenses as it relates to the criminal code in that regard. And we will take steps to ensure that we prevent offenses and keep the community safe. I would say that, first of all, as in all elements of freedom of speech and charter rights, which we have taken great steps over the past weeks to facilitate lawful and peaceful assembly. But as in all cases, when things move to a criminal consideration, which we are alleging is the case now, there are limits to that freedom of speech. And we have an obligation to prevent offenses and keep communities safe, keep protesters safe, keep demonstrators safe, and keep our police officers safe. And I would suggest further, there are plenty of places in the city more appropriate for the expression that people would be affording themselves pursuant to the charter. There are many other places that are safe and appropriate for lawful assembly and expression.
What about protests outside of Jewish-owned businesses, restaurants? Would there come a time where you would start to limit those as well?
I'd like to be clear on this. We are now applying a criminal lens as it relates to the intimidation of the community that you've just spoken of. The Jewish community has made it very, very clear and properly clear that they feel intimidated. We are now taking a criminal lens to our approach in gathering evidence and making our operational considerations to prevent criminal offenses and affect our purpose of keeping communities safe and, if necessary, take people into custody. I've redeployed resources to give the area commander specific resources that have skill sets and to work cohesively as a team to ensure our response is robust and consistent.
Chief, can you guys talk to the Prime Minister earlier this week to talk about how to curb some of these anti-Semitic incidents? What tangible solutions did you come up with that could be applied?
Well, listen, first of all, I have to thank the Prime Minister for taking the time and making it a priority to meet with me as the Chief of the Toronto Police Service during this very important time in the City of Toronto, and importantly, being responsive to what's happening in our communities. And I think what I would say is that we are doing everything possible as a whole-of-service approach to ensure the safety and security of all our communities.
Chief, you talked about redeploying resources, the number of officers you're using, given the climate right now, and there's no end date for any of this. So I'm wondering, with the cuts to the budget, how could that impact how your officers are responding to the situation?
Well, I think I got to acknowledge the perspective of our members who, when I visit units across this city as part of my duties, I can tell you that discussions around how we are resourced in our budget are front of mind for our frontline members. And they are watching carefully and closely and asking me direct questions on how we are progressing. So when our Police Service Board approved a budget that I advanced on December 19th of last year, I presented a budget that allowed us an opportunity to consider moving towards adequate and effective service delivery. Our members are paying attention, and they've certainly made it clear over the last hours and over the last day that this is very concerning to them, what's going on. I have an operational obligation to make certain adjustments, and I'll do that in time as things unfold through the budget process. But service delivery and how we approach different elements of policing are all things that will be under consideration by myself and the command team. It's a little premature for me to comment on that, but I will tell you there's, as I've said, on December 19th, when we presented the budget to the board, a reduction of this kind creates an unacceptable risk, and I'll be dealing with that risk accordingly.
Chief, I want to ask about this most recent arrest that was announced, the charges of the man carrying the flag. What changed? We know there have been other incidents of people carrying these flags, these service organizations. Did something change to warrant this arrest?
Well, what changed is we gathered the evidence and were able to find the evidence, collect the evidence, and effect our purpose in a safe manner. I won't comment on how we did that, but I will tell you that what changed is we were able to actually make an apprehension and gather the evidence. We have been committed to taking every step possible when we've received complaints of this nature. This was our first opportunity to actually gather the evidence and safely effect our purpose of arresting the individual.
What message do you want to send with this arrest?
I want to send a message that we're not putting up with this kind of hateful conduct in our city. This type of allegation points to an extremist, hateful perspective that we do not welcome in the city. It's illegal in the context of what happened, is what we are alleging, and we will continue to gather evidence, and when the evidence presents itself in a way that affords us an opportunity to make an arrest, we will do that.
Is that hateful continue growing? Is this what you're seeing with this increase of hate crimes? Are we seeing a growth and a rise of this tension?
Well, I think the statistics speak for themselves, and they speak for them for the lived experiences of our communities. And you know, I think we have to consider the statistics as one very, very important barometer. But I think what's important is to not lose sight of the lived experiences of the communities that are engaging in this activity and causing harm and who they're harming. And I think this has to be considered in totality. The statistics are very, very clear. There's an incredible rise of anti-Semitism, and this is something incredibly concerning to me as the chief. And the lived experiences of our Jewish community and the experiences they're having in this city presently are something we are listening to. And we are actually, as I've said, we will be bringing a criminal lens to activities going forward to ensure that we are responsive to what the community has told us is a very serious concern for their safety and well-being. I'll take that away and work with our team on how we might afford an opportunity to provide an update and stay current.
Chief, an internal message was sent to TPA members saying that they weren't happy with the amount of resources that officers were receiving during those protests. What is your response to that?
Well, I'm not going to comment specifically on the TPA message, but I will tell you that we are committed to working together to ensure our members on the front line are supported adequately. I had a meeting on Saturday night with the command team, and I directed there be a review of our operational command and control from events of Saturday to ensure that our members who are serving so diligently on the front line are resource supported and have what they need to get the job done.
Chief, I have a question about the report about Devin Demkiw shooting that was released this morning. Can you react to that report and any plans to handle the officers involved in that?
Well, I think the matter is with the Special Investigations Unit, which curbs my ability to comment publicly. I think the report spoke for itself, and the record is quite clear at the Police Service Board.
Back to the protest on Avenue Road, what does it look like in terms of how that enforcement, like what will the TPS do differently in terms of that enforcement now that you're saying it's not going to be allowed in that location?
Well, listen, we're going to do everything we can to minimize disruption to the community. We're going to do everything we can to keep Avenue Road open, but we will not be allowing people to congregate or demonstrate on that overpass. That's simply not allowed, and we will be taking steps to ensure people don't do that. And should it become necessary, we will take people into custody.
And one more. If they demonstrate nearby, will that be allowed, or will it be removed entirely?
I'm not going to comment on what may or may not happen. Let me be really, really clear. We are taking a different perspective based on the information and experiences of our communities. We are going to ensure our communities feel safe in every way we can. We will not be allowing criminal intimidation of our communities. And as matters unfold, we will look at them on a case-by-case basis, and we will take appropriate action as required.